gives other people time to join as well.
Can I start?
Zep, you feel like kicking us off?
Yes, actually, I want to make a proposal to the comms team to make the payments once a month. It would help so much with the audit. Like, there's so much data coming around from the work of comms, and it's so much work for us. And it'd be nice if it's possible to do payments a month instead of every week. It would help a lot. Temperature check is like working a lot, getting everything, like so many work streams open that need to get done before leaving to Burning Man. So yeah, that's the mood. I'll pass it to Libby.
Hey guys, well, temperature check. Let me see if I can show you.
Oh yeah,
That's right. That's where I just arrived right now. So yeah, I'm feeling like this week of conferences again, like it was so much in real life experience we had, and I think I've been thinking
Is it the only one who lost Livia?
no, it's she.
I'm feeling a little bit. Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
We lost you for a minute. We heard I'm feeling a little bit.
Okay, I will stop for a minute. So you can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I think I've been trying to understand what is that the TC needs in this moment, and also understanding how my commitment with the grassroots economics commons is going to affect my presence in the TC, and wanting to, just wanting to understand what the community needs and how I can be most of service in this moment, and start making a
Oh no, I'm afraid we lost Livia again. Olivia, can you hear us okay? Maybe we'll pass for the moment and then come back to Livia. Wanka, are you good to take on the temperature check?
Yes. Well, I am excited about what is happening in Gravity, because we are ending today the third Graviton training. That means we will have a new cohort of Gravitons. And trying also to take some time to rest during these weeks that the stewards, some of the stewards were off. And nothing. Excited also for the second proposal of Gravity, and I am cooking. And yeah, that's my temperature check.
Maybe we can pass to Acid.
Well, this week has been kind of busy for me, leading all the comms teams, but I think everything's going okay. It's been a really good challenge for me. Take this kind of stewardship Shui while he's not here, and Septi, I'm going to do the payments every month. Don't worry.
Oh man, so much love. I didn't expect that to be so easy, but thank you. I mean,
And I got a
it
new
would help a
tattoo,
lot. Oh, that's cool, man. Wow.
Arnold. And that's it. And I think Edu is left.
Yeah, I will be today mostly listening in. I will just answer the temperature check for starting this. It's been sharing the sentiment of the people who joined the conferences. It was quite a heavy last week. So that's on one end, and second end, it's I have to share it, I guess, a little bit more with the rest of the stewards and the rest of the community, but I took on a new job, and that's sort of taking a lot of my time at the moment. So I'm trying to fix my times in a way that it's doable. And thirdly, also this here, if you click on the chat, this is more for reference for time, I guess. We talked about this on the last retrospective, which was to add the token freeze and the roadmap to conversation for as a sprint, sort of feedback and results. So those two topics were the ones who won last week, a retrospective. Back to you, Tim.
Cool. Well, then maybe I'll add that to the agenda. And then maybe, so my own temperature check is, it's, very overwhelming when we're on the ground with conferences and so many colleagues and people, new connections and new people to meet. But it's really nice actually to be based at home again, honestly, because, well, there's nobody to meet in Bordeaux. So, so I'm really back in online 100%. And that is, feels a different kind of productive than meeting people in real life. Okay, so hey, Nate. And I guess for a personal level, I'm trying to house train my dog, and that's been really, really, really difficult for me. So I feel a certain level of like elevated stress that I don't usually have in my life, because it's just really, really hard. And I've just been following her around a lot and spending, I don't know, calls just outside my house with a blanket on the sidewalk, just trying to have her outside the house so she doesn't go inside. But I'm not so successful so far. So yeah, I guess there's a little bit of personal stress in my life from that. Hey, Nate, are you up for doing a temp check?
Yes, I am. Sorry. My computer is lagging for some reason. Temp check is good. Yeah, I think overall pretty warm, especially just my focus has solely been on Sampo and Treasury stuff right now. So it's actually a lot of energy going into that. Had a good conversation Gideon the other day. Yeah, I think there's a lot of moving parts. I think some working groups may feel like they're stalling out a little bit, but I can't really tell because I'm not there for the day-to-day. But outside of that, Sampo's is got a lot of energy, and we're moving forward, so it's nice. And I'll pass it back to you, Tim, because I'm not sure who's gone.
Yep, everyone has gone. So let's see. Any gardens or snapshot votes for us to check on? I think I'm going to have a quick look at gardens. The comms team DAO, support for TEA, and then updating the fees deducted from buy and sell. Okay, so this is changing the tributes to 2% and 12%. Looks like it will pass. Okay. You just click on it and double check. Yeah, okay, it does look like it'll pass. Cool. Okay, transparency. So it sounds like Acid Laser already agreed to the request from UZEP around monthly payments. Do you want to just elaborate for those of us who aren't sure why that change is being requested?
It's because like we were doing the audit with Rex, and especially like for Twitter team and the academy team, like there was so many payments, like the same number, and then the same value, and then they were so similar. Like it was struggling so much to get all the data organized. So if it's like once a month, there is less data, and it's like easier for us. I mean, another thing that would be great is like if Comms takes the leadership and updates the spreadsheet. that would also be awesome. But at least like doing it monthly would help us a lot. Like it would reduce the workload. Like really was so much work to get it done. Now it's done, but for future audits.
So is it because it was based mostly on bounties, or what is the obstacle with the way that comms was doing it?
I mean, it's because like also the work is not so organized. Like the work puts. It could be like instead of being organized by date, the work puts like the first one on top. Then also it's being very buggy. Like some transactions says they are pending, but they are fulfilled. Like mostly it's like the work. Honestly, like the work is not so organized, and then we need to organize the disorganized, and the more data disorganized, it's harder to organize.
But does that mean that it's more about the D-Work platform rather than asking comms to change the payment schedule for contributors? Would
Yeah,
it be
that'd be fair. Yeah, if the work was organized, that's work.
So, for example, if they still used D-Work but did it on a monthly basis, does that actually solve the problem, or does the problem remain?
The problem remains, but it's smaller. Four times smaller.
So I think it's something that the comms team should evaluate, because D-Work has been a way to enable bounties. I mean, it's the D-Work and Gravity. I mean, comms and Gravity are the two groups who've been experimenting with using D-Work for bounties, which is something that we'd be interested in rolling out to other working groups if it's successful in those two working groups.
Yeah, to make payments is good, but the problem with Steward right now is like the data is not well stored, and it's also not 100% accountable. It kind of is like I didn't find any mistake, but it's like any admin of Steward could just delete a transaction, and even if it's in the blockchain, it's not in the org anymore. So it's susceptible to humans to delete stuff, and then it's like a pain in the ass to figure out what's going on. But so far, no one deleted anything, and it's working as expected. But yeah, it's something that could happen in the future.
So you're saying they don't keep a log of transactions after the successful payment for bounties?
You could delete it if you want. Like it's getting saved, but people could delete it if they want.
I can reach out the work team, so maybe they can solve the buggy problem about the organization. But yeah, we can do it monthly. Not problem for me. And actually, the only team that has bounties now is the Twitter one, because it's the only one with budget. So because the T Academy, it doesn't have budget now. Translations, we are doing some organization about the payments, but only now the Twitter team is the one that use bounties weekly, but we can do it monthly. No problem.
Marketing also have some money, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to understand, because it sounds like maybe D-Work as a platform isn't working out. I mean, or at least it complicates the audit is the truth, but maybe there's some way around it, and or possibly if the comms contributors need to be compensated weekly instead of monthly, then it might be possible for comms to use a different method for distributions of compensation.
Yeah, CSPV5 would also work awesome for us.
So yeah, I guess Acid, you could think about which is the way that best serves the contributors and comms.
I think the work is very good for us. You know, all the experience in the platforms is really friendly for us, because it has the in progress, in review, and done. So as creative people, it helps us a lot. But we can make changes. I think the method that transparency is maybe can help us. But for bounties, I think Viewer has one of the greatest platforms. The only problem is the bugs, but I will reach the Viewer team, so maybe they can make some changes. They are very friendly, so but I will think about it.
Okay, and then shall we move on from this? The next, anything else? Anything else anyone wants to say before we move on? Okay. Okay, cool. And then Eduardo, you raised the retrospective actions from the last sprint retro. I think it is this one, right? The sprint 39.
Let me check the screen. Yeah, I think it's not circled, but I think it's clearly where the stars are. And basically, it was about that. Yeah, still need to develop a TC roadmap, and this was aligned with the idea of no one knows what's going to happen with the token freeze. Like, in the sense of like no one was until Mitch joined the conversation that day, at least no one had this certainty of like, oh, so it's gonna be slowly every the unfreeze will be slow. It won't be from one day to the other one. So like there were these aspects of technical aspects that a lot of people didn't know. So it was part of this roadmap also that I think will provide some clarity and probably even help comms to develop some communications towards this roadmap. And this is aligned with also the vision of Sampo. So this is all sort of tied together.
Yeah. I'm surprised because we selected the parameters for the token freeze ourselves. I believe it was 52 weeks, right? So like there's a date where the freeze starts and then it lasts 52 weeks if that was the right parameter.
Correct. But I think in the sense of how many parameters there were, we not necessarily tend to remember all of the characteristic of all the parameters and how it will interact with things. So I think that was something that at least I think there were 5 or 6 of us in that meeting, and I think only Mitch knew that how this was going to proceed. So that was sort of a sentiment of how people were perceiving this.
Cool. That's an interesting point. I mean, I have it on my calendar for when it's starting. It's now, actually. And then I think it's 52 weeks. Now I forget if that's it, but I have to go back and look at. Yeah. So, okay, good point. And then for the TEC roadmap, when we last discussed this months ago, it was that each working group would build their roadmap, which we would then consolidate into a roadmap.
Correct.
I still think that's the best way forward because it's hard to do a TEC roadmap without the individual working group. I mean, it is basically just a consolidation of all the working groups.
So,
Correct.
And we
Right.
could prioritize this more. Go ahead, Nate.
So this is where I kind of agree with Turgadas and this concept of really unifying under a single narrative, because I do think that we have kind of a dislodging of goals from the general TEC vision. I think we have, like Wonka, I believe, mentioned before, that Gravity may be interested in starting their own token, which is fine. I just I don't know if that fits underneath the goal of getting the TEC token to be this TEC economy. And so I think that if we do it individually by working group, we may find that we have very different directions and magnitudes off of what we're trying to accomplish as a group. And having that type of meeting or talking about that type of thing, I think, is really, really important. And trying to kind of get everybody on the same page of what we're trying to accomplish in the short term as a whole, rather than as individual working groups.
Yeah, I agree with Nate on this. I feel like it has been really hard for us, like to answer the question what will happen in the next month. Even as even from the conceptual point of view, it has been really hard to point out that direction. And it's not a thing of the working groups in general. I think it's just the nature of things. But with at least the vision that Gideon is putting on Sampo, we talked about this on this respect, that Gideon, at least with the vision of Sampo, could underline at least a solid roadmap, at least from the sustainability point of view. And then we could see how from every working group we can reinforce that roadmap or not, or go in a different direction or whatever. But I think that the bottom line of that conversation at the end was that at least Gideon will provide some sense of a roadmap from the sample perspective, because it's the most relevant at the moment, just the sustainability part. And then we will align with that and give also certain sense of direction for everyone in the community to let them know that we are not sort of improvising every month, but that we have certain goals in the mid and short term.
Mhm. So then the thinking is that the sample working group will sort of be the initiator of a roadmap that we will align around.
Correct.
Because I do think there are some, financial discussions that we have to talk about, and if it requires restructuring how we do things, having honest conversations about the roles of working groups, and maybe having new initiatives. How do we get more people in here contributing? Changing our short-term goals in terms of like what our realistic financial situation is. So that may just be a conversation that we just need to have as a whole, and how to adjust our working groups accordingly.
Okay. This sounds good. I still think, I'm still going to say, I think each working group should still have a roadmap. I know Gravity does have a roadmap that they have shared. But yeah, I still think that's helpful for not just the participants of the community, but also looking at the trajectory of TEC.
I agree. But I don't think they are mutually exclusive. We can still have a roadmap.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that is the end of our agenda. And is there anything that anyone else would like to bring up?
And I said that I was not going to talk too much. Yeah, I just want to share the thing that I, at the beginning of this call, I shared. I started working with a new project last week specifically. Its name is Corpus Venture, and that I still don't know how much time it will take from my schedule. So on the last Communitas call, I basically made an open call to anyone who is interested on the more social aspect of onboarding calls, orientation call, and so on. And the intention would be, or at least my expectation would be, this is open for conversation, of course, is that this probably will be the last budget I will request as a steward. I will remain as a steward, but not necessarily receiving compensation for it, or at least not fully compensation. And what I will try to do is to mentor someone into this role of the social aspect of Communitas, and mentor it towards September. So the ideal scenario is that during August, there are two people who show interest, so I'm having conversations with them, but through August, there is less people, it will be easier to sort of train, let's say, someone during this period of time. And by September, there should be someone who will probably do the more social aspects of the role. And then I will probably keep, assisting to the calls and so on, like this one. But probably my attention will be not as much as I used to have. So just bringing that to the attention of everyone so they are aware of this.
Yeah. And congratulations. It's bittersweet, Eduardo. It's bittersweet news. But of course, we're, or at least I'm very excited by new opportunities that you have. And yeah, also excited that we'll still see you in the TEC. Any questions, comments for Eduardo? anyone maybe suggest potential community members that could be a good fit for providing leadership to the Communitas working group? Okay, cool.
Maybe Costa. I don't know.
The thing about Costa is that he is really good at managing the data and all processing and answer things. But when it comes to social interactions, he is not. That is not his strength. So that's why we are sort of trying to find someone that match his skill set in the opposite direction, so we could have a balanced Communitas. Considering that we have enough budget to cover all the way, I think, until January almost. And then so I think we can actually the midterm vision is that we actually create or have people empowered with the capacity to dynamize communities, facilitate calls, and welcome everyone, and then also translate this community building sense making that we have built in the TEC to other communities or as a service or whatever you want to think about it. But at the moment, we sort of need someone in the social spectrum to compensate this Costa role. But thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find someone that has the same level of skills that you do, Eduardo, quite frankly. You are a really great host in the orientation meetings and in Communitas and in the community in general. But it's also an excellent opportunity for someone else in the community to start to emerge as a leader for Communitas and building the community in the TEC.
I agree, and I think is this passing this circulation effect and this capacity to rotate that I think it's really important.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, is there anything else that someone would like to add to the agenda? I know we're only 30 minutes in, but if there isn't, we would end this call early.
Just to invite everyone to the last session of the Graviton training that will happen in 30 minutes. Some of you already played this dynamic that we're going to play, but a meteorite is going to come to the Earth, and we have to coordinate to save ourselves.
Super fun.
Yeah, everyone is invited.
Cool. It sounds super fun. Okay, anything else that anyone would like to raise in this forum? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining today. And our weekly has moved to bi-weekly, so we will start. So next week we won't have a meeting, and the next one will be August 9th. Thanks everyone for joining today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Sam.
Sam.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.